Let's go over how to use the distributive property to expand an expression. Here's our first example. We have 9 times negative 5w plus 3. The negative 5w plus 3 is in parentheses. For distributive property, remember what we're doing is we're taking the outside term and we're distributing it to both of our inside terms. So in this case, we have our 9, and we're going to distribute it and multiply it out to our negative 5w and take that 9 and give it out to that 3 as well. We can rewrite this expression to show this multiplication that's happening. We can rewrite it as 9 times negative 5w plus 9 again times 3. Now we have our expanded expression. All we need to do is simplify it for our answer. We're going to use the order of operations. By PEMDAS rules, we'll do multiplication before we do addition. So we'll start with the 9 times negative 5w. Right there we have a constant times a coefficient and variable. When we're doing that, we're going to really take the constant and multiply it by the coefficient, and we'll just keep our variable with us. So we'll take our 9 times negative 5, negative times positive will give you a negative, and we'll get negative 45w for our first term. For our second term, we just have our constants multiplying 9 times 3, which gives us 27. So we'll end up with negative 45w plus 27. We can rewrite that as the same, negative 45w plus 27, and that's our answer. Let's take a look at a second example. For our second example, we have negative times 2 minus a plus 6b. The 2 minus a plus 6b is all in parentheses. This one looks a little bit different than the first example we just did because it looks like we don't have a number that we can distribute to all of our inside terms. But be careful. We remember that that negative sign really means that there's a negative 1 out in front of our parentheses. So we can rewrite this expression, and I want you to go ahead and do this, and rewrite this as negative 1 times, in parentheses, 2 minus a plus 6b. Now, this looks like an expression that we can use the distributive property for. We can take our negative 1 and distribute it out to our 2, our minus a, and our 6b. And we can rewrite our expression to show our multiplication as negative 1 times 2 plus negative 1 times negative a plus negative 1 times 6b. When we have this expanded expression, we're going to go ahead and use order of operations to simplify it. We'll start with our multiplication. For our first term, we have negative 1 times 2. Negative times a positive gives you a negative. So we'll have negative 2 plus negative 1 times negative a. Negative times a negative gives you a positive. So we'll have plus a. And for our last term, we'll have negative 1 times 6b. Negative times a positive again will give you a negative. So we'll have minus 6b. You can rewrite that here as negative 2 plus a plus negative 6b. Remember that last term, because it's negative and we're adding it, we can change that to subtraction. So we can rewrite our expression to be negative 2 plus a minus 6b, and that's going to be our answer. For the final example that we're trying, we have negative 4 times, in parentheses, 7h minus 5. This one looks pretty similar to both of our last two examples, just kind of combining them. Now we have a negative number that's outside of our parentheses. We want to keep the negative sign with our constant. So we're going to keep that negative with our 4. So we'll take that negative 4 now and distribute it to our inside terms, that 7h and that minus 5. And we can rewrite the expression again to show the multiplication that we have going on. We have negative 4 times 7h plus negative 4 times negative 5. We can do our order of operations, multiplication, so we'll do negative 4 times 7h. Again, we have that constant times coefficient and variable, so we'll have negative 4 times 7, which gives us negative 28. Keep the h with that. And then for our second term, we have negative 4 times negative 5. Negative times a negative gives you a positive, so we'll have 20. We can rewrite our expression as negative 28h plus 20, which can be rewritten again as the same thing, negative 28h plus 20, which is our answer. And that's how we can use the distributive property to expand an expression. And we just did 3 examples to show this.